So I met some friends there. Also visited the same location, the same hotel. They stayed, not a hotel, it's already a house. And I met the whole family. His name was Warren Butler. And I knew it was always walking around with a bunch of books in a little bag that you carry with you no matter where you're sitting, always reading books. So I found out that his father was a professor at Harvard University. He went to Harvard University, and all his sons, 2 sons, also going to go. They didn't yet, but they will go to Harvard University. He also told me that he owns a store in Salem, Massachusetts. And I told him about my startling job and my interest in the food and service and all this kind of thing. So one day he said, he said, I have an idea to open up a soda fountain in a store. And in fact, I inquire and I have proposals. One is from Whiting's Milk Company. They also make ice cream. No, it's a Whiting's Ice Cream Company. That's what it was. I wish you'd come down and see what you think, because I was telling him that I know the food and beverage control business. I knew the percentages, I knew the cost of this and that and the other thing, And so I went back in my day off, I guess, to see the store in Salem. And when I arrived, I couldn't believe about the store. The store is like Sanger Harris here in Dallas. A huge department store, full block on the street. It's at Elm, Bigelow, and Washburn. Established it almost 90 years ago, something like this.
You had never been to Salem before?
No, on my first trip. And so I came to the store, and it was it's not a new store, it's an old store, wooden floors, for instance, and all this kind of thing, wooden stairs on the second floor, and I got to the office and found his office. He was glad to see me, told me, he said, well, here are the plans, and here is the location of the store that he was proposing to do, you see. So I said, well, let's go and look, So he went downstairs and showed me the location. And I said, well, let me think, and I'll see. He said, meantime, he said, how many people go through these doors? You have a bunch of doors there. There's 3 doors on this side, there was 3 doors in the back of a store, 6. I said, do you have any figures and all this kind of thing? Meantime, I find out in conversation that he is the president of a Dry Goods Association of America, Dry Goods Store Owners Association. In other words, no chain operation, but the people that own department stores. He was a president of it. And he has a lot of research material as far as the percentage of traffic and this and the other thing, And the possibilities of income, the cost per square foot, and all this stuff. So I look at the counter and where he won, I just kind of pictured in my mind that would be a good spot, So I walk around on my own all over the store and see what the flow of traffic is in the main street. And, right on the Salem Square, it's, very prime location was the location was the. Then I figured that the soda fountain should be near the traffic. Where is the maximum traffic, So the maximum traffic was from this side, from the street side, these two particular doors. And I figured that then there is a stairs that go onto the second floor, you see. And I don't know why, but I figured that this would be the spot. Right, but people go right, they have to go upstairs to go right by the soda fountain here, you see. So I spot this location and talk to him again, Warren Butler. And I work on it very seriously at home, but friend Tony, Tony is an accountant, so he knows the figures much better than I do. So together we come with a conclusion of a sort of a feasibility study on the project. I had a pretty good idea how much it cost, like a soda fountain. You can figure out if you have a 12-chair fountain, it costs you like $1,000 a chair. So for $12,000 you can build a little soda fountain. If you want an 18-chair fountain, it costs you $18,000. That way. And so then we came around and I figured that if you serve food, because a lot of people like to have not just soda. The Whiting Milk proposal, Whiting Ice Cream Company proposal was nothing but ice cream and milkshakes. There's nothing else, you see. I came up with an idea that if you have a luncheonette instead of a soda fountain, and luncheonette, so you don't have to sit down and just have ice cream soda. You can have a ham sandwich or chicken sandwich. You can have a cup of coffee, and you can have ice cream sundae for dessert or whatever. And so your average check will be better, and I arrive at the figure and the forecast of how much it's going to possibility, how much you can take out of this type of operation, comparing with that, just ice cream, all this kind of thing. Back again to Warren Butler, and I came up with this proposition. This is what I think you should do for the soda fountain here. It's going to cost you $18,000. And you have possibilities there because you're near the basement. You see, right where the stairs are, is a basement, and you can connect with the basement below and have your storage facilities there, and you have a dumbwaiter from the fountain to there, and you can even wash dishes there downstairs instead of washing dishes in the fountain, and all this kind of thing. All the details. He was so impressed with this. I think it's terrific. Now I'd like to find out who is going to build and all this kind of thing. Then he said, I'll tell you what, why don't you take it?
When you were making the plans were you considering doing that?
Right, why don't you take
changing your job?
I said, well, I don't have the money. I guess it costs $1,000. I said, well, that's all right, he said. So we'll build a fountain. We'll do whatever it is. So finally we got involved, and when I came up with the bottom line of the operation, he really was insistent that I'd take it, and take it, he said, with no, he'll take the responsibility of outcome and all this kind of a thing. So how much you make, that was my principal thing, because I was hurt by cuts and afraid of that's going to cut some more, you see. But I was making, I would say, around $100 a week, maybe $80 a week or something like this, which was, that's like $800 a week today, it's a big difference in it.
So you were doing very well.
Yes, oh
what you were
yes,
doing.
big
But
money.
you didn't like the idea of getting cut
Right.
back, because you had your
That's right.
lifestyle that you had to
Right.
keep up with.
Right? And so that was my project, you see. I got interested in it. And finally I had to come to a big decision. I've been with the Statler for over 10 years. More than this, 1923. Yeah, 10 years with the Statler. And to give up, you see, it was, am I doing the right thing? You know, Statler is a very big concern.
A secure position for
Security,
you.
you know, and all this kind of thing. And Tony's mind was in a different direction. He said, well, Alex, you're a fellow. I said, what are you worrying about? I said, you have plenty of, he was a little older than I was. You have plenty of chances. You don't take the chances, you're not going to move. You're not going to go like I spent it in New York. He said, I'm studying in the same floor for years, not making any more money or anything. And so I made a decision, and it was a hard thing for me. I was so nervous. I waited for Mr. Hennessy from New York, who was in charge of it.
You were still in Boston.
He was the vice president.
Uh-huh. And you were in Boston.
Right. He was the vice president of the whole chain. They had Buffalo, they had in Detroit, Boston, New York, and somewhere else. It's a very solid chain hotel operation in the world then, you know. And so finally I've heard that he was coming, you know, and I came up with this bill, written down myself, you know, what am I going to say? I was scared to death, you know. Tell them I quit, you know. So, but it turned out to be a pleasure talking to him, you know. He wasn't mad or anything. I thought he'd be mad because I felt that I had everything in my hands up there, and all of a sudden I'm not there, so what are they going to do without me? And he gave me a blessing. Said, you're doing the right thing, see. And so a couple days later I got a letter from him with a beautiful recommendation, see, written recommendation, appreciation for my services and all this kind of thing that I used for a long time afterwards, you know. And so with the blessing, I set the date, you know, and start working Salem. So I said to Tony, I said, I have to move to Salem. And he said, well, I said, good luck to you, you know. I was trying to get him to take my place.
In the Boston.
And Boston, settled in the Cafe Rose and luncheon. And somehow he said, well, I said, his life was accounting, you know, so I want to find something I can do in my own field, you know. And he kept up with the Wendell Library, Boston Library. It's a terrific establishment. It's right in the middle of a city, and it's built like a White House, you know, that stands out and it's beautiful. And he was we go by that library all the time, and he carried books back and forth, you know, and gets all the books on the latest methods of accounting and financial statements and all this kind of thing. And I learned a lot from him too. So I finally moved to Salem.
What did Tony do?
He stayed in the same apartment, the same room that we had. It's apartment, rather. And he stayed there, and the same company, the Sheraton, they own the Copley Plaza Hotel, which is really near our house, and right opposite the library thing, which was a renowned hotel, Copley Plaza, known all over the world. And somehow he got in touch with either food and beverage manager there. Yeah. And they offered him a job to be food and beverage controller for the hotel. With training, they will train him to follow the Stadler control system, you see, which is accepted way of controlling each food and beverage operation department, you see. And so he gave up Stadler over there and transferred to Copley Plaza with a substantial increase in his pay, because his salary was cut too, then that he didn't like. And so eventually he became a very important part of operation in the hotel. He took control of it's a very tedious statistical job, recapping the entire operation on a daily basis. In other words, if the tea room operation closes, all the checks, the cashier's checks that she gets through with, they go to him and he has to recap. A ham sandwich, chicken soup, ice cream, butter, coffee, and you go through the thousands of these items on the big sheets, and there are 4 people working in that department, and they're recapping the whole operation.
But that was really more in line with what he wanted.
Oh yes.
Did he ever get married?
Yes, yeah. He got married.
And even though he lived in Boston and you lived in Salem, you
right.
kept in
We
touch.
still were close by. It's not far with a car, because pretty soon in Salem, when I got organized there beautifully. I came up with my prospective figures right on the dot the first year of my operation, and we made money, and I got my commission and all this kind of a thing, and so my Hubmobile wasn't doing too good, so I bought a new car, which was a Pontiac, brand new Pontiac, with the rumble seat. And so Tony got married, and eventually he had a child, a beautiful girl. His wife was, they lived right by Harvard University, and she was secretary to the president of Harvard University. And her family, she was very, very intelligent person, and so she brought her daughter that way. And their daughter was very talented too. She piano, very good piano.
Is Tony still alive? Do you?
No, he died, but he's, I think he was 6 years older than I was. Yeah, 6 years older. And Margaret, her name is Margaret, she got in touch with us and told us that Tony passed away. He had a cancer of the stomach. He always had trouble with his stomach. I remember in Boston apartment, he was making the oat himself. He has a bunch of cups and filled the cups up with, I don't know what they put, the yeast or milk, and give in the corner and cover up with a board, then the towel over it, and they stays there, and then it gets so you can eat this,
You mean yogurt?
Yogurt, yeah. You say yogurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, yogurt's in Turkish.
Okay.
It's a Turkish thing, yogurt.
Yeah.
In Turkey, they used to carry on the streets this big discs of this yogurt. And they yell, yogurt bar, and people open up the windows to go downstairs and they buy pieces of this yogurt.
I see. Okay.
Okay.